This is the ComboBox Control. The ComboBox is a combination of a text box and a list box in a single control. Only one item is displayed in the combo box. The rest are available in items down below in a drop-down list. The commonly used properties are: there's a name. It's a unique ID to refer to a specific control encode. There's the enabled property. The control can be enabled or not. Default is enabled. There's a font property. Globally applies to all controls in the panel. There's a name, size, and bold. There's also a location property. X represents the horizontal position on the form and Y represents the vertical position on the form. There's a size property. Width is in pixels and so is the height. The tab index, sequence, or order in which this control will get the focus when the user hits the tab key. There's a visible property. The control can be visible or invisible. Default is visible. There's a default event, the index change event. The event causes code to be executed when an item in the combo box is clicked or selected by the user, typically used to obtain the index of the item selected. Let's take a look at this. If you want to see a combo box in action, all we need to do is grab it from the toolbox over here. And the combo box are usually sitting right in the combo control area. By double clicking on it, you end up bringing in the combo box. I'm going to shorten this form a little bit, and I'm going to make this larger. You can actually make this any size you want. It has properties that allow you to adjust the size of the combo box. And I'm going to go to this combo box and I'm going to name it. In this case, I'll call the combo box CBX for combo box, CBX, and I'll say whatever. I'm going to use it for whatever I want to use it for. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at some of the other properties. Next, I'm going to go down here to the items property. The items property is a collection, basically. And if we double click on the ellipse on the side here, we can add things to this. And I'm going to add 1, 2, 3, and OK this. I now have them in the drop-down box. Let's take a look and see what we've got so far. If we take a look at this and run the program, we basically have a box that we can use the arrow key and drop down and see 1, 2, or 3. We can click on any one of these things, and that is the one that will appear in the box. And it'll be the one that's active. Now, we can also do some things with this. I'm going to grab an add button. Actually, I have to change the font on this thing real quickly, too. I want to make this larger so we can see it. Make it bold and make it a 12, which will adjust the size of here. I'm going to grab a label and put it on the form. And this label we'll call it label out. And I'll turn auto size off. And I'll give it a border style of fixed single. And I'll make it the same size as this guy up here. And I'll also change its font to bold and 12. And we'll center the text in this. And remove the label 1 characteristic from it. So it's now gone. Next thing I want to do is I want to grab a couple buttons. Grab this button right here. And we'll call this thing button add. And I'll change the font property on this as well. Make it 12 just for visibility. And I'll change the size of the button so it looks good here. And we can actually see it. Did I name a button add? I did. Let's make a copy of this. Let's lay it over here. And let's call this the exit button. Button exit. And let's go ahead and write code for this thing right away. So now we can use the exit button. And it looks just fine. We have a drop-down box. We can see things in it, put things up there, and exit this thing. What I can do now is I want to be able to show you that when you use the items and with the collection and added things to it, we can also use the add button to do that particular work. So if I double click on the add button, I get an event that is the click event. And what I can do is I can actually put in something like this. We name that button CBX whatever, if you remember. I can say items.add and then add something to it. I might add the number 4. Just like a list box, I'm allowed to add something to that checkbox and make it work. So let's go ahead and save this. And we can see from our form right now that if we look at it, it's only got 1, 2, and 3 in it. Run the add button in here, and we now have 1, 2, 3, and 4 in here. And we can select 4, and it pops up in here. So you're able to add things to the list box through the program or through the properties. Either way you want to use this kind of thing. Now what happens when you actually use the drop-down and click on the event? Well, when you click on the event, you're activating the selected index changed event. And you can actually move something in there into a label if you want by executing. I'm going to go ahead and double click on this thing and get that event to pop up. You get the CBX whatever selected index change event. What it's doing, it's looking at the index that the user clicked on the particular number that the person clicked on. And what we can do now is we can actually say LBL out.text is equal to CBX whatever.text. So basically the text property of the combo box is used when somebody clicks on something. In other words, if you click on anything in the collection, that item is going to be popped up into the text property. So it's available to anything else you want to use for it. And it'll actually click it here. We can see this happen right now by simply saving this and running the program. It pops up. We only have 1, 2, and 3 here. I can click on 2 and it pops into this area right here. If I click on something else, 3, I get 2 again. 3, it pops the 3 in there. If I add 4 to it, I now have that available to me, and I can actually click on this, and 4 will pop into the label. Now, the only thing that's strange about this combo box is when you run it initially, it doesn't give you a lot of clues as to what to do here. You just simply see a drop-down box. What you can do is you can populate the text property initially, telling the user what to do here, and we'll do that. I'm going to go into my property. Actually, I'm going to go into the form load by double-clicking on the form load. I'm going to say CBX whatever.text is equal to select from the list below. And we end up with this sitting in form load. Let's go ahead and run this thing again. File save all and run it. And what you note is that property is now sitting inside this text, but it also is highlighted. It's being highlighted because this thing has the focus. What I'm going to do to get rid of this, we can click our 2 here, we can see it pops in and we still get this focus up in here. What I want to do is I want to change this thing and look at the tab indexes. If we look at the tab index, this is set to 0, tab index. So the focus is going to this combo box. I'm going to change that to this exit button right down here, make that tab index equal to 0. And I'm going to make this thing then, it didn't work. Okay, tab index 0. There it is. And this is going to become 3. Just switch places with these guys. And now if I run this program, the focus isn't there. It's sitting on the exit button at this time. So you just simply see the select from the index below. You get rid of that blue section that's giving it the focuser. But you can grab the focus by simply clicking on it and grabbing 2. And now your focus is there and you can add 2 to it. Or we can add 4 to it, to the item. Click on this and then we have that happening. So that's the combo box in a nutshell. It's basically a list where you're only seeing one item. You can see all the items in here by clicking on the drop down, but you can select one. It's going to go right up to the combo box and appear there. And then you can do whatever you wish with it. Very, very similar to a ListBox control. That's it. That's the combo box in a nutshell.